Good morning out there in Oldish land. How are you today? We are broadcasting to you from the kitchen of the Oldish here in southwestern Ontario, where the temperature is minus 16 but feels like minus 24. It is a cold one. I know that when I took my dog for a walk this morning, he had on his booties and his big winter coat. He's a 100-pound black lab, so maybe he looks a little funny, but I'll tell you, he's warmer than the other dogs. So I hope that all of you are staying warm. How did you survive Christmas? Did you have a good time? I had a great time with my family. I had my daughters and their husbands and everybody's dogs, and it was a busy time, but it was a time full of laughter and good food, and I hope that all of you had a similar experience in your household. And of course, now it's nice and quiet again. Time to do the cleanup and take the tree down. How long do you leave your tree up? I tend to take mine down fairly quickly. It's not down yet, but only because I had stuff to do yesterday. But really, I don't like it there after it's empty anymore. Some people leave it up until January 2nd. Other people actually that I know of leave their trees up until the end of January. That would drive me insane. Takes up too much room. At any rate, let's talk a little bit about articles from this past week, because we've had a lot of really good ones. We did one, and I say the royal we. We have a terrific writer. Her name is Heather Meir, who contributes most of the pieces that you read on the Oldish. She wrote a piece on avoiding colds and the flu. So this is really important for aging seniors, because with the body's functions not in their prime the way they were when we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s, fighting off these kinds of things takes a lot more effort. And it's better to prevent it if you can from the beginning, and not have to deal with the consequences of it. So I hope you all got your flu shot. I know that there are articles in the news that the flu shot this year is not as effective as in past years. I got my flu shot. I think that something of a chance is better than no chance at all. And unless you intend to hibernate away all of the winter season, I'd rather take that small opportunity to prevent what I can. But of course, a lot of, covering your mouth and your nose when you sneeze, washing hands a lot. When you're out in public and you're touching doorknobs and counters and so forth, keep your hands away from your face. Don't touch your mouth and your nose and your eyes, because that's the fastest way to transfer those germs. So just don't do it. Holiday Survival is a piece that I put together, curating a lot of the articles, most of them written by Heather, that we have done in the past several months that would help you survive the holidays. Everything from gifts to buy for aging seniors to meal preparation and keeping yourself sane, dealing with aging seniors who may be joining your family table, who may be challenged with dementia. That's a really important thing, because people don't want to be frustrated at outbursts or reactions, and the people with dementia don't want to be uncomfortable either. So if you still have some entertaining to do and you're considering including somebody, perhaps an aging mother or father or grandparent who is challenged by dementia, please take a look at that article. Preventing back pain in the kitchen is a relatively new article on the Oldish, and I think you should take a look at that. It's good for all year round, but during this holiday season when so many of us spend so much time in the kitchen, you definitely want to make sure that you take care of your back, your lower back. So take a look at that article. There's a really interesting article about excessive medical testing. You should take a look at that. When people go in for tests and they are of a certain age, I think that as their relatives, it's a good idea to think beyond the test and ask yourself what you're going to do with that information if you get it. For instance, one of the things that was mentioned in the original article was a 90-some-odd-year-old woman going in for a routine breast screening. And while breast screening is fine and necessary, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you discover that this 90-something-year-old woman has the early stages of breast cancer? Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to subject her to surgery? Are you going to watchfully wait and see what happens? You know, there are so many tests that I read, oh, this was years ago, and I can't even tell you where, that most elderly men, if they haven't already had prostate cancer, die with prostate cancer. Because it's just a thing that the vast majority of men seem to get at some point in their lives. If you discover that a very elderly man has early stages of prostate cancer, what are you going to do? I think these are discussions that are relevant to have, certainly with the doctor, absolutely with the patient, and if they are cognitively well enough to participate in the decision-making process, you should listen to what they have to say and see what they want to do about it. There are discussions that families should be having as well. Should you be doing these tests at all? If you do the tests, what are you going to do if the information comes back saying that something's wrong? Interesting things to consider. I don't have the answer for you. They are very individualized answers. So you really should have those discussions and think about it as your aging senior goes in for their next medical checkups. Walking to a steady beat improves speed and strength. That's a brand new article. And walking is definitely something that is a good exercise for aging seniors. We want to get out and about, breathe in that fresh air. Got to be careful of the snow and the ice, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But there are some tips on how to walk effectively to be the best walk for your health. So take a look at that. Okay, now I know we said this article or this talk was going to be about New Year's resolutions. I'm just going to stop the presses for a second. There was a brand new study that came out this morning on vitamin D and calcium, and you're going to see an article on the Oldish about that at some point today, I believe. For years and years and years, we have been told that taking vitamin D and taking calcium is a good defense against osteoporosis. Now a study has come out, and I'm going to just get this information up in front of me. Over 51,000 participants in 33 randomized clinical trials have demonstrated that vitamin D and calcium taken by community-dwelling seniors has no greater effect than doing nothing. Can you wrap your heads around that? Because we've been told that for so many years. The people who did not take vitamin D and calcium did not have a significantly greater risk of fractures or osteoporosis than those who did take vitamin D and osteoporosis. That's huge news in the osteoporosis community. Huge, absolutely huge. So keep your eye open for this article on the Oldish. I think when it shows up, I'm going to boost it so that it gets out there to more of you and you can take a look. Now, this is not to say you should just stop taking it. You need to have these discussions with your doctor because you may have other factors in your life that mean you should take them. So what the study said was that you should be getting your vitamin D and calcium from food naturally, and that was quite sufficient. Some of you may have issues absorbing that vitamin D and calcium that you get naturally from food. So definitely have that discussion with your doctor. But if your doctor is telling you you should take this as an osteoporosis preventative, you might like to point out this article to him or her. You know, here at the Oldish, we talk a great deal about polypharmacy, taking too many medications, medications that interact with other medications negatively. Should you be taking medications that don't do anything for you? No, stop that. You should not be doing that. But you aren't the one to make that decision. Your doctor really has to. Your common sense has to play into it as well. And if you're taking a handful of medications every day, and your doctor says, well, maybe you should just continue taking them because vitamin D and calcium have been the standard for years. Over 51,000 people who live in communities have demonstrated otherwise. So this is not a study that was done on people who live in long-term care and nursing homes. So don't confuse the two. This is a study that was done on people who live in the community. So people who live in their own homes in the community, people who are aging in place. These are the type of people who are community dwellers. So I think you should pay attention to this. And by the way, that brings up a really good point. Have you filled out your medication checklist? Because if you have, if you haven't, go to theoldish.com, get a free membership, and you can access the free medication checklist in the toolkit. I'm saying free for everything, because signing up for something usually means you're going to get spammed. You're going to get email coming at you. It's going to cost you something. That's not the case with us. We just need this kind of information to be behind a firewall, because in your medication checklist, as one example, you're going to be entering personal information. It's nobody's business what drugs you're taking or you're not taking. So in order to protect that information and keep it safe, it needs to be password protected. That's all that is. So definitely do that. Print out that medication checklist for the next doctor visit you have, and highlight your calcium and vitamin D vitamins if you're taking them, and make a notation that you want to have that discussion with your doctor. I think that's a really good thing to do. Okay, let's go back to the New Year's resolutions. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? I very seldom make them, because like the vast majority of the population, I don't keep them. I just don't keep them. I don't. I mean to. We all have good intentions, but I just don't keep them. The one thing I did, I'm not going to call it a resolution. It was more of a decision that I made. And for those of you who may have popped in on our Oldish Instagram feed, you may have seen me do an Insta story some time ago on my diet. And I don't mean that I was on a diet. I mean, I was complaining about my diet. As a single aging senior, my diet sucks. It is. I just can't get enthusiastic about cooking for one person. It just doesn't seem to be something that I get excited about. So I did cook some things. I cooked a meatloaf. I made some soup. I cooked some chicken and potatoes, and I froze the leftovers. And I do bring those out and I eat them. I still have some of it in my freezer, and that's pretty good. I find that I work a lot. I'm still working and I work a lot, and all of a sudden I sort of raise my head out of the computer and I realize I haven't eaten and I'm hungry. So I want something now. Now I'm hungry, I want something. So having the patience to cook for an hour or an hour and a half is just not my thing. So what I decided to do was put a juicer on my Christmas list. And I put a juicer on my Christmas list. I did some research, decided on the one I wanted. It's a cold pressed juicer so that I can use vegetables as well as fruits. And I've been gathering up some recipes, and on my to-do list today is to go to the grocery store and get some of these fruits and vegetables. And I'm going to start juicing. I'm going to do that because it's a great way to get vitamins and nutrients into my diet that I'm not getting because I'm a lazy cook. That's just the long and short of it. I'm a lazy cook. I don't have the patience. I don't plan. So with this cold press juicer, I can press juice and it'll actually keep in the refrigerator for a while. So I can do it in batches. Hopefully this means that when I do get enthusiastic and I have fruits and vegetables in my house, they won't go to waste. I won't be throwing out vegetables that have turned brown and slimy because I can put them in my juicer. Yay! I'll have to keep you apprised about how that goes. So what New Year's resolutions have you made? Have you made some? Have you made some that you're going to keep? I got some messages. Go ahead and put them in the comments if you've made some, and we'll pop them up on the screen here. I did get some direct messages from people who commented about their New Year's resolutions. So I'm just going to read off some of those, and we'll see if any of them match with yours. Debbie wants to lose weight. Isn't that a dream for all of us? We would all like to lose weight. I guess we all have to get out there and walk some more, do some exercising, and commit to a healthier diet. Good for you, Debbie. I hope you keep up your New Year's resolution now that Christmas is over and hopefully the goodies have gone away. We still have New Year's to get past. There's still some parties to go to. Ken says he wants to spend some more time with his grandchildren. Yay, Ken. That's really great. I'm going to assume that Ken is retired and has a bit of extra time on his hands, and he wants to make some memories with his grandchildren. So good for you. Stephanie vows to improve her marriage now that she and her husband are retired. Isn't that a thing for a lot of people? You know, you spend your middle-aged years raising children, working, building that career, and then the children are grown and gone, and you come home from work and you look at your spouse or partner and wonder who they are. I understand that, for sure. So Stephanie is vowing, she didn't include her last name, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because, I mean, of course, it came on the direct message, but I'm not going to tell you what her last name is, but I am going to tell you that Stephanie, we support you. And, you know, I wonder if maybe finding a hobby or two in common so that you have something to focus on and something to make memories with each other with mightn't help. And maybe you could follow Ken's example and spend some time with your grandchildren if you have some. There's making some more memories as grandma and grandpa. That'd be great. So if anybody has any New Year's resolutions, add them to the comments. And everybody can share in your New Year's resolutions. Maybe you'll come up with something that somebody hadn't thought of. And maybe we can keep each other accountable and all stick to our New Year's resolutions. Question of the week. Peter wrote in to say that he wants to walk more. And he remembers an article that we published a while ago about how to walk and not fall, and asked me to share that article again. So Peter, I believe the article you're talking about is entitled Walk Like a Penguin to Avoid Winter Falls. It's about how to place your center of gravity a little more over your feet, a little bit more forward, and to walk with your feet spread out a bit. And that will help you to have a more balanced walk. So the article is Walk Like a Penguin to Avoid Winter Falls. So look that up. You can check it in the search engine within theoldish.com, and you can find that article. Of course, you should always wear your hip protectors, and this goes back to the article that was published in JAMA about vitamin D and calcium not being quite as effective. I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I own a company that is the Canadian distributor for HipSaver hip protectors. There's my disclaimer. It is the #1 hip protector in Canada, so probably many of you know about it already. But, you know, there used to be a doctor who practiced in London, Ontario. He's now retired. But he used to say that when people hit 50, give them their calcium prescription, their vitamin D, and a pair of hip protectors and send them on their way. And that was the best you could do for them. So now that we've discovered that vitamin D and calcium are not the be-all and end-all for people that we thought they were, we're left with hip protectors. And I know that people don't want to look different. That's usually the thing with people. Oh, I don't want to look like I'm wearing hockey pants. You don't look like you're wearing hockey pants. Trust me, you don't. I wear hip protectors, particularly when I'm out walking my dog in the winter. Now I have a 100-pound Labrador Retriever who is a retired service dog. So he is accustomed to commands rather like steady. And I walk him with a harness rather than with a leash because that's what he's accustomed to. So he's actually a really good extra 4 on the floor for me when it's a bit slippy outside. Although I'll tell you, this morning with his boots on, he was slipping a little bit because they don't have the gripping surface that his paws do. But at any rate, I would urge you to check out hip protectors. There are many brands available in Canada. Do your research. Research was done out in BC last year, and the top 2 hip protectors were noted, and HipSaver hip protectors, which is the one I represent, again, disclaimer, you can find them on, they were one of the top 2. So you can find them at HipSaver Canada or brownhealthcare.com. I urge you to check them out because I'd rather have you think that I'm trying to push something down your throat than have you end up in the hospital with a broken hip. That is not cool. So keep those hips safe, keep those bones safe. It's not only about hips, it's about legs and arms and shoulders as well. If you fall, you can break them. And if the vitamin D and the calcium aren't helping you, a hip protector won't protect your shoulder. So look out after yourself. Make sure that you're staying strong and doing that weight bearing exercise and getting your fresh air and exercise in healthy ways. So I'm going to show you the website for theoldish.com. There it is across the bottom of your screen. And we will see you in a week's time. Meanwhile, check out the articles on theoldish.com. Stay happy and mostly stay healthy and enjoy your time. Bye, everybody. See you next week.